The Russian Orthodox Church is an ancient and very complex institution. When we think of the Church, we often think of the bearded man in black clothing wearing crosses and leading Sunday services. However, the Church clergy is a very diverse and hierarchically complex, and understanding the way it is structured can give some insights on the history, ideology, and even current political situation around the Church. There are multiple different positions within the Russian Orthodox clergy, both horizontally and vertically in hierarchy. Some of the gaps between the levels of clergy are so big that there is a centuries-long tension, which sometimes results in a catastrophic conflict, like the schism of the 17th century that led to the emergence of old believers. See a video about them on my channel. First, the levels and jurisdictions of clergy correspond to the structure of power within the Church. This structure echoes the structure of power in Russia herself. This is no coincidence, because for most of her history, the Russian Church was a state religion and one of the official power structures in the country. The general principle of this structure is 3 levels of power. The highest level is federal. The secular power is represented on this level by the president, government, 2 branches of parliament, Supreme Court, and so on. The Church is operated by the Church councils that are assembled on the most important occasions, like the election of a new patriarch and the Holy Synod between the councils. The head of the synod is the Patriarch of Moscow and all Rus, and the most important bishops, some representing a church department, some representing a particular region. The apparatus of the Patriarch is the Moscow Patriarchate. The second level is regional. Currently there are 89 regions, including the annexed and occupied Ukrainian territories that most of the world do not recognize as parts of Russia. There are different forms of government in those, depending on which it is governed either by a president, if it's a republic, a governor, or a mayor, if it's a federal city. They also have their parliaments, governments, and courts. The Church is represented by an eparchy, headed by a bishop. In a big region, the bishop is metropolitan, in smaller ones, an archbishop. The lower level is local. In the secular system, the local units have their heads of administration. In the Church, there is either a parish headed by a priest or a monastery. I discuss the secular structure of power in more detail in a separate video. When it comes to the Church, these 3 levels of power have a great deal of power hierarchy. But before looking into it, let's see how the clergy is structured. As I've said, there are 2 most important structural dimensions, 3 levels of clergy and merit and monastic distinction. The lower level is deacons. They do not have much autonomy, and unless they hold some important administrative position in the power structures, their main function is to assist priests. Priests or presbyters, the most important and numerous level, are the ones who have the most contact with lay people, run local parishes and most Sunday services, and serve in countless ministries. The highest level is bishops. They accumulate much power over priests and their parishes, and also monasteries in the regions, represent the Church on the most important occasions and in the most important power circles, and they form the leadership of the Church. The head bishop is the Patriarch. There is another important structural dimension in the Church clergy. Naturally, all clergy in the Russian Orthodox Church is male, and one can only become a clergyman if he is either married or a tonsured monk. The married clergy can only be deacons and priests, while the monastics can take all positions. Most importantly, only monks can become bishops. For many church critics, the discrepancy between much power and resources that bishops, especially the Patriarch, accumulate and their monastic status became one of the most discussed themes. As I've already mentioned, the power hierarchies and accumulation of resources create such a great gap between priests and bishops that it is basically a constant tension and conflict, sometimes overt like in the 17th century, and sometimes covert. With all this in mind, Judging the whole ancient and enormously complex church on the public statements of a few key bishops is way too simplistic, superficial, and simply unfair, whether it is on the societal issues, morality and ethics, politics, or even the war in Ukraine. Please like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. I see you all next time.